So I'm standing here, sitting on Wells and Division, going southbound. Let me drop it down so I don't get them in my video. And popping back up, I had to tilt downward so I could avoid getting some guys walking across the street in my video. But coming up down here, this street, you have Walter Payton High School, and it is mostly all residential. So you have Walter Payton High School over here, but further down Wells, you have Moody College. And I don't know how much Moody ever, goes over and recruits from Walter Payton High School. Truly. They're right down the block. They could recruit from Walter Payton High School. So this block is basically very residential. Here's Moody. It's right here on Wells. And you have new buildings going up, and there's a $1 billion plus development, or a couple $1 billion development coming in here. And so I don't know where the face of Moody is. Truly. So is this the main face of Moody? Rekindle God? Is this the quad? The center of campus in there for Moody? I have no idea. Then you can see on the building right here, in the dark letters, not well lit, it says Moody. But I'm right down here, and there's not much. This is very quiet this is Chicago Avenue ahead of me, and behind me is Division. So between Division and Chicago Avenue, it gets very residential. You have a high school and a college between Division and Chicago on Wells. Now, Moody, you would think, would do a lot of things with the high school, even inviting the high school over for theatrical plays. Now, Moody could put on a lot of religious plays. I went to the play at Willow Creek for, what was it? Oh, Jesus' birth for Christmas. And they put on a big theatrical play. But Moody could have different religious theatrical plays. There's a ton of them. And they can put them on, and they can invite people from Walter Payton, and there's further on down, there's Latin High School and so on. So Moody has a bunch of high schools around it that it could recruit to. Now, the problem with Moody is that it needs to get more academically prestigious. Even in its religious studies program, there's rankings. Like University of Chicago has a very well-known religious studies program. So I don't know about Northwestern, but University of Chicago has a very renowned religious studies program. People here don't know it, but Moody needs to improve its programs, and it needs to get more renowned. So it needs to do things with its professorial staff and what it's bringing in. So the current professors would have to go get another PhD or do some type of field work. Truly, some kind of field work, some kind of research to further propel the school into more prominence. And then it can recruit from Latin, and Walter Payton are two of the top schools in the state of Illinois and two of the top schools in the United States. But that's just a couple high schools around here. And I think there's some elementary schools. but Moody needs to improve its status as an academic institution. Whether you're doing religious, or whatever, you want to be renowned for your studies, right? And so they have a good recruiting base they can recruit from, but people would have to have a reason that if they go to Moody, it's going to put them in a better place in life. So when you go and pick institutions, like, okay, you're going to stay here in Chicago. That's one. You're going to stay within the Midwest. That's two. That's, then you're going to stay within Central America. So that means all the way from Minnesota down to Louisiana. You're going to end up somewhere in there. Or you're going to the West Coast or to the East Coast, and you're going to the Southwest or Southeast. So, depending. So, if you're going to stay in Chicago and you're going to be a lawyer, you don't need to go to Harvard. Number one, you can go to Northwestern. Number two, you can go to University of Chicago. Number three, you can go to Loyola or DePaul. Pick it here. If you plan on, when you go to college, you got to think of where you want to live after college. Because you want to understand where the alumni base is, but not only the alumni base, where people actually know your law schools. And the thing about Kent Law School, it's not really it's known, but not really well known. Do you see anything for Kent Law School? Totally. I can go by it, but it's UIC. But the whole point is, if you want to stay local, go to Kent. Now, there's a club owner named Billy Deck. He went to Kent Law School, and then he stayed local. But the thing is, going to Kent Law School, most of those kids are going to stay local. Most of them are going to stay local. So if you want to build more of a local network, stronger local network, like Billy, it was smart. He also did an extended program from Harvard and got a designation from Harvard or something like that. A program that I was looking at doing. But the point is, he went to Latin. I don't know where he went to college, but I know he went to law school at Kent. So the whole point is, if you're trying to build a local network, go to UIC and you build a network in Chicago, or go to DePaul. Less Loyola, if you're going to build it farther out in Rogers Park, you get to know the business owners and so on. And when you're going to these programs with these colleges, if you're going to stay around, you want to build your local network. So people are going to Harvard, they're not looking to stay in that community. They go there because they want to go, they have flexibility to go to places nationally and to go to places internationally. Yes, they want to get a degree from a certain institution that has national and international premise, like the TV show Suits. All the lawyers come from Harvard. But the reason you go to Harvard is because you want to do something, you want to have flexibility to move around the United States, to have choice, because you don't know where you want to land, but you want to be able to do something domestically or internationally, and you want to have an institution that people will automatically recognize and recruit you from on both a global basis. But you don't have to go to that school if you're not looking to go global. A lot of times when you're going to Ivy League schools, the reason you go to these schools is to go global. Even Stanford and some of the others that have a global reputation. So you want to do things, so you're not in defined concentrations, but with Stanford, it's a little different. You have Silicon Valley, and then you do have a lot of financial firms in Boston. So on the East Coast, but in Boston, you have a lot of financial firms, and they do have people from MIT and Harvard and other Ivies. So there is some, if you're going into finance and you want to live up in Boston or East Coast, and then it's easier, and you're going to build a network of people from there. So when you pick an institution like Northwestern Law, it's more national and international. But again, if you wanted to stay local, it's still a good choice. If you want to take Harvard and you want to stay local in Connecticut, that area, then it can be a good choice, or MIT. But the point is, you want to go out and do things in the community. Now, if you're moving more national, when you do things like internships and you're at Northwestern or whatever, Loyola or something, and say you still want to go more national, they have more prestigious programs. Some programs are more prestigious, like University of Arizona. The most prestigious, I think, program that's always in the top 5 is the MIS, Management Information Systems, at the University of Arizona. I think it's been up there in the top 3 at one time. So it's usually in the top few with MIS. So it's respected nationally and internationally. So if you're looking to be MIS and you want to go to one of the best schools in MIS, then you would end up at the University of Arizona, not Harvard, not Yale, not Brown, not Princeton. You would end up